This video is kindly sponsored by Vodafone, who are a supplier of the brand new Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G. With Vodafone's trade-in guarantee, you could save up to £360 when you trade in your old Samsung S9 or S10 using their trade-in tool. And their annual upgrade promise means you could get the latest Samsung every year with no upgrade fee when you return your current phone and choose a new plan. Not only that, but readers of trusted reviews have voted Vodafone as the UK's best network. And in actual fact, I've actually been a customer of Vodafone's for years now. Let's unbox this Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G then. This phone features a sleek and ultra premium metal frame, 4 superior cameras and 2 telephoto, massive onboard storage options, a 6.8-inch dynamic AMOLED 2x display, a powerful 500 mAh battery. It's got stereo speakers by AKG and Dolby Atmos sound, and the screen is fantastic to use with smooth scroll. You can power up with wireless fast charging, and it's actually IP68 water resistant up to 1.5 meters. And of course, as it says on the box, it's got 5G connectivity. Now, rather interestingly, the opening shots with this Audi Rs7 are actually shot with the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra 5G. So the opening shots, and you'll see it on the screen where it's written, it's actually shot with this phone. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Last but not least then, if you're not a Vodafone customer already, you can get a £50 Amazon voucher with the purchase of any Samsung S21 range phone. For now then, let's get on with the video and keep your eyes peeled for those shots using this phone in the opening sequences. This is the brand new Audi Rs7 Sportback. The Sportback part has been permanently bolted onto the Rs7, but that is not the only change for this brand new model. The new Rs7 gets 40 extra horsepower and 74 pounds-foot of torque over the previous Rs7, and there's even mild hybrid technology in there, which not many people know about, which we'll get into in a second. It delivers 590-something brake horsepower, and 0 to 60 is 3.5 seconds. That is no slouch for a car this big. It weighs a little over 2 tons, it is nearly 2 meters wide, and it is 5 meters long. Notably, it's more powerful and cheaper than the Porsche Panamera Turbo. So without further ado, let's jump in and let's get moving. So then, what is it like to drive, particularly in kind of everyday surroundings that you're going to find yourself in, and most Rs7 users are going to find themselves in? A little bit of city driving. I've been living with this thing for about a week now, and I'm very pleasantly surprised. There are some bugbears. It's not by all means perfect, but it's a category of car that I've never actually really had in my garage before. I've never had the kind of super saloon in my garage. Batting around in this thing then is a pleasurable affair. It's extremely comfortable in all the comfort settings. You are forgiven for forgetting that this thing is actually around 5 meters long and 2 meters wide. It is absolutely massive. This thing is huge, but with the rear wheel steer, it does kind of just bat around with relative ease. You don't really notice it, but you do need to watch out, because you can very easily clip it on things, especially the back of it. Now, this particular car does have the standard air suspension. You can go for sporty suspension should you so wish, and should you feel as though you're going to be driving it in anger more often. I personally probably would not bother with that. I think it works absolutely fine, and the little bit of spirited driving that I've done in it, you put it in RS1 and RS2 mode, it gives you enough adjustability that you can turn it into a bit more of a weapon should you so wish. The other thing this car doesn't have is the optional ceramic brakes, and I believe you need to option those in order to de-restrict it up to 190 miles an hour as opposed to the 155 mile an hour top speed that this will hit restricted. Both of those are clearly completely useless in the UK, because you should only be doing 70 miles an hour tops. Most people, when presented with the Rs7, instantly say, but why wouldn't you get an RS6? I would just get an RS6 instead. Why on earth would you get an RS7? However, that is not really a response because this car is not aimed at people that want an RS6. The RS6 is a bit more of a blunt instrument. It's a big old boy with a boot on it, and it's for people that have dogs, have kids, and need everything rolled up into one. This is not for people like that. This is for the sort of person that wants an E63S saloon. This is for the sort of person that wants an M8 competition Grand Coupe, you know, the big old banana one with all the doors. This is not an alternative really to the RS6. They're totally different cars. It's an estate car and a kind of a sportback, as Audi now call the Rs7. They've now added a sportback to the name. The other elephant in the room is this thing is a lot heavier than its rivals. It's a lot heavier than even the E63S, which is an absolute tank. I put that down partly to the hybrid technology that's now in this car. You've now got a 48-volt hybrid battery type vibe, which basically, effectively, I think it just does torque fill and kind of low speeds. You can just drive around on electric. The good thing about that is, from my perspective, because I'm a bit simple, you can't fiddle with the hybrid systems in this car. It's literally just all done in the background for you, and it's completely seamless. I must admit, until looking into this car recently, I didn't realize these had hybrid systems in them. You wouldn't know it by driving around, but it does have real instant surging torque, which I can only assume is a very clever engine technology, the 4-litre twin turbo engine, but also that electric tech in the background, giving it some torque fill and really kind of getting it going just instantly off the squirt. So yeah, big thumbs up to Audi for managing to put a hybrid system in one of their high performance cars, but without ruining it and almost keeping it a bit of a secret. Because usually when manufacturers put hybrid systems in their car, people say, I don't want one of those anymore, they're rubbish, I don't want a hybrid, poo poo poo. But Audi have sussed it, they've somehow sussed it. So very well done to them for that. And I think it definitely augments the car as opposed to ruins it. So right now we're in kind of comfort mode, blah, blah, blah. You can knock the gear stick back and it puts it into the sport gearbox, and then you can press RS mode. You've got RS1 and you've got RS2 mode as well. Purely because I absolutely love the RS2 of old. I've had it in RS2 mode quite a lot. That does loosen up the ESP and mean that it's a little bit more slidey, a little less grippy, but it is a lot more responsive, and obviously you can customize that completely as well. So do have a fiddle with that. It takes a while to get it into your kind of favorite preferred settings mode, but of course that will change depending on where you are. That will completely change. Oh, bus just jumped a red light, fantastic, welcome to London. So yes, this is about 2.1 tons, which is absolutely colossal. You don't really feel that unless you're under heavy braking. Then you get a bit of a sense of the weight. But other than that, stability control and the way this thing's put together really does mask the fact that you're driving in well over 2 tons. And as punchy as the weight is the price. These are just south of around 100 grand with no spec on them. And once you start specking silly things like, big hi-fi, big wheels, pan roof, ceramic brakes, de-restricted, and all the rest of it, you can comfortably nudge 110, 120k, which is a hell of a lot of money. It's around the same price as the RS6. That though is around the same price as its rivals, the M8 Grand Competition Coupe, whatever they call it, and the E63S, and even the M5 CS that's coming out. I suspect will be slightly less comfortable than this thing. But price-wise, this does fit in with all of those. Now, the other thing that people are going to be saying in the comments already, real-world stuff, is depreciation. These things will not hold their value that well, particularly if you do, for whatever reason, compare it to the RS6. This thing won't hold its value as well. The RS7s of old didn't, and I don't think this will be any exception. I do see even the RSQ8 holding way better value than I thought it would. So I don't think it's likely to be as devastating as you might think. Quantity of these things being made has been completely slowed down by COVID and whatnot. So I don't think the market's going to be particularly flooded. Indeed, I haven't actually seen a faceless RS7, and they've been out for about a year. So I don't think there's loads of them about. Chaos, what's going on? Would I buy one? Probably not at the moment. I don't have a need for a fast saloon. I just don't. There's nothing. I don't have a need for any cars at all, to be honest, in London. Just get an Uber everywhere. But it's not really my vibe. I don't think I'm at the stage of life where I want or need a large saloon. I do quite like the vibe. I do like the vibe though. You feel like a bit of a mobster in it. and you do get some concerned looks from people driving around, especially with my new haircut, staring out the window in it. But I don't know, it's great, but I don't personally see a need for it. I don't drive around with people on the back seats. I don't need that kind of thing. Speaking of back seats, that's another thing as well Audi have introduced for the brand new RS7. You've now got a third seat back there, because it was originally just 2 seats, and Audi realized that actually people that they were selling this car to quite appreciated having 3 seats in the back. So now it's got a proper bench and you're not restricted to 4 people in the car, which is a good move, I guess. But for someone like me with no friends, it could have no back seats and it wouldn't matter at all. Considering the long sloping body, then there is actually a hell of a lot of headroom. I'm a lanky old boy, and you know, I can't, well, there we go. I'm headbutting the ceiling now and I'm well out of my seat. And in the back there, yeah, again, considering the roof slopes right down, you got loads of room back there. It's good. The seats, despite being really buckety, and they've got these big old bolsters to keep you in place, they are very, very, very comfortable. I like the quilting that Audi do. I know it's very similar to the Lamborghini stuff that I insult the whole time, but I really do like it. The finishing and the infotainment and everything in here is absolutely unbelievable. But that is what Audi really, really nail. That's what I love about Audis. They really smash the interior. Everything that looks like metal is metal. Everything that you touch and click, even the touch screens, the touch screen clicks in. It's fantastic. And unique to the RS models, you've got this boomerang display right in front of you here that does all sorts of RS-y sporty things, which is very, very cool. You've got a G-force meter, you've got a power meter, you've got a torque meter, you've got your music, you can do whatever you want. You've got Smart Play, CarPlay, Android Auto, whatever the hell it is. Literally can control anything from in here. Even in the Audi RS mode here, you can check on the brakes, the gear oil, the sport diff, coolant, engine oil, the temperatures of all of those things. It's absolutely incredible what you can drill into, and nerds will love it. Your Audi drive selector here is absolutely brilliant as well. As I said earlier, you can configure your RS2 mode, so you can have the driver system as efficient, so you get maximum hybrid vibe, maximum suspension. Steering, you can make it dynamic. Engine sound, you can make it pronounced, which I suspect means that it comes through the speakers a little bit more. It's chaos. You can do all sorts of stuff in here. So hats off to Audi. This is absolutely comprehensive. And if I had to choose between this, an E63S, or an M8 Grand Coupe, I would go for this every single time. If I had to choose one of them, I would go for the Audi. Controversial potentially, but I think the grip levels offered by this car, and almost this exclusivity of it, you don't see these about. You don't get hoodlums in these. They are quite under the radar. I just like it. It's a cool vibe. The acceleration out of corners, particularly the way it grips and the way it picks up, I have never driven anything of this size even vaguely like it. Even the Urus, which actually drives quite similar to this, is fantastic, but I think this has got it on agility. So big thumbs up to the RS7. The last one was a bit boaty, and I just feel this one is slightly more dynamic, and they've tweaked a few things to make kind of driver enjoyment that little bit better. So I'm very, very pleased with it. And unless I hired a racetrack or a private road, I wouldn't have been able to go and drive around willy-nilly and absolutely flat-foot it everywhere, because it is that fast. You cannot bat it around willy-nilly without doing those things. So we're in efficiency mode now. So the electric engine's just kicked out. One final thing as we're cruising around in efficiency mode then, this RS7 now has the ability to shut off half of its V8. The last one didn't. Oh, don't leave me in a yellow box, you absolute moron. Road positioning is so key in London, please don't get it wrong. This new RS7 actually has the ability to shut off half of its V8, which the previous one wasn't able to do, and that absolutely maximizes fuel economy, and not at the expense of hating it. I know a lot of cars, they go into efficiency mode and you hate them, but I think they found a really nice balance where you can achieve efficiency in this if you want it, but you can also be a complete wally in it and drain fuel as much as you want. So I think Audi have done a really, really, really good job with this car. I'm very, very impressed with it, and you know, if I was in the market for this type of car, I would 100% add one to the garage. But unfortunately, my life isn't that civilized yet where I need something as civilized as this car. Ooh, Urus. Urus with a race exhaust and a spoiler on the back. Lovely stuff. And yellow badging, which I'm not quite sure about. On that note then, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this little kind of roundup of the Audi RS7. A huge thanks to Audi UK for providing the car and letting me have a little spin in it. And who knows, one day I may add one of these to the fleet. Who knows? For now though, stay safe. Thank you so much for watching. Do subscribe, blah, blah, blah. I'll see you all very soon. Bye.